Welcome back to another painting stream. Now, last time I decided that this design was a failure, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm going to have some fun painting it and making it look decent. Now, I didn't show me priming it on stream because it takes like 5 minutes and then takes 24 hours to dry. So once it's done, it's done. And I mean, it's not worth going live for 5 minutes just to go done. So what I did was get a brush and quickly go over all of it with PVA glue. As you can see, it's now a little bit more shiny, still as bendy as ever. It's a little less bendy now that it's got the glue on it, but I don't expect that to get any better at any point. But it's hopefully now sealed. Now for this paint job, I'm going as neon as I possibly, well, basically colour scheming is going to be, the section around there is going to be gold, that's going to be gold, as is the pommel on the hilt. I know, I'm using the Western names because I don't actually remember, I should have written them all down so I can get these names right. But the blade's going to be silver down the whole thing, and with the actual effect of the hardening on it, I'm going to try to get that. And the weave on the handle is, the weave on the grip is going to be pink and blue underneath. So it's going to be a pretty brightly coloured sword. Now what I'm going to do first is coat this brown, this and this brown, and all of this white. Then I'm going, like this bit here brown as well. Anything that's going gold coloured, I'm undercoating brown, because if you put this type of gold straight onto silver, it just looks like it's brass. If you put it onto brown, it looks like it's gold. So now I've got to remember to use the right white, because this is the lightning paint white, this is the painting white. Unlike the last time where I tried to paint with the lightning white, which was a disaster. For it doesn't matter that much anyway. As you can see, my paint pot is horrific. Also, as normal with a cosplayer, I am abusing every tool. It's like, oh, what was this meant for originally? Because with cosplay, you've just got to throw stuff together until it works. And that does involve a bit of mess. Now, I'm not too bothered about the back of the guard getting white on it, because it's going black and that colour just goes over white like there's no tomorrow, so it'll be fine. Oh, that blade is weird, so flexible. Again, I'm going quite quick, but there's no real need to. If you're doing this, definitely take more time than I do. I'm just used to rushing, like whenever I'm on stream, and I don't know why. Oh, no, do not hit the microphone. That is the one thing you do not want to do. Through there, clean that up. But yeah, this is a relatively thin coat. It's just to give a backing because the pink and blue that I have are absolutely, they're basically washes. I mean, calling them pathetic's a bit unfair on them. I mean, they're paint, they do their job, but you would not use this stuff as a base coat. So basically it just washes some colour on after you've got a base on there. But if you try to do it onto the grey of this foam, it would just look atrocious. So I've got to go underneath with this stuff first. And yeah, technically I haven't given the PVA on this 24 hours to dry, because I did it like, I thought last night at about 3 AM. I was just like, wait on a second. No, spot apart. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna have to go grab Spot Bob. I don't feel good having my little buddy on the floor. Just cross there, a bit more paint. Now, basically, I have determined that this is a complete failure of a build already. Now, when I say that it's a failure, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it's not as good as... Okay, no, it doesn't even mean that it's not good. It just means that the basic experiment that I was conducting, which is basically, can I make this blade not floppy? Which I failed. Blade is floppy, therefore test fail. But I have another idea on how to do it, so... Whoops, sorry microphone. So yeah, the microphone is right there, that's why I'm hitting it. Right, so that's the one section that's getting these colours. But that also means that is all of the white that I need to use, so I'm going to have to put that back in the bottle in a bit. I was expecting it to use way, way more than it did, okay. On the upside, these things are nice and they let you do that. I mean, I know the advice of pour in the right amount is valid and good, but I mean, I'm going to get this wrong consistently with this one because I don't know. But don't worry about it, it's fine. So that goes in the paint pot. Now I've got to be really careful of that paint pot because if I let that drop, the computer's also there. It is quite possible, and especially it's like a liquid cooled system and the entire top of it's open to let the radiator breathe. So if I knock it, the entire thing could just splash and destroy the whole computer. I mean, I know I said chill, but adding that much menace to the thing is unnecessary, but... So next up, a slightly smaller one in brown. Now anywhere that's getting a coating of gold gets the brown now. So that's here. Wow, they're reversing quite some distance. I mean, I don't even know if like the microphone could pick up the cars outside, but okay, usually when you're doing this, you would like wait for it to dry before you do another colour so they don't mix. But well, you know, I mean, I'm not entirely sure an audience would sit here to watch paint dry, but people watch a lot of things that I wouldn't, so. It's just brown on the end. Just go around, make sure you get everything. Now, realistically, I can barely even see the colour difference at this point. That's probably because I'm working straight onto CF100 here, which is a much darker colour than normal. At least the batches that I've had, the CF100 is much darker. Oh, I missed a bit with the white. Oh well. Also, to note, I'm making the full set of free swords. This is one of the free. Because traditionally these swords came in sets of free. And I fully intend on getting all three of this set, but I mean, this wasn't my only idea of how to make this type of thing. So I've got another one where it's a little bit different, and I'm going to try that as well. So my next project's going to be these, well, it's going to be these three, and then straight afterwards I'm going to do the same three again, but with a different crafting technique to see if I can stiffen up that blade a bit. Whereas it does involve adding like 50% to it of the width, and I don't know, it starts to get a bit silly when the blade's getting really, really thick. I mean, I know with foam you've got to have it real thick because it needs a spine to hold it up. And the sword being floppy is one of the big problems with adding a spine. Or with a lack of spine, to be fair. But this is a lot better than just foam. So that can start going. Oh, I just remembered how bad this is going to be. The other ones have like giant holes at the front. This one has a tiny little one. I mean, this actually takes some time, lots more time than you'd think is worth it. And again, even I don't think this is worth it 90% of the time, but even I think it's, I don't know, it's not exactly relaxing, but the amount of this paint that I would waste if I didn't do this. Okay. Okay, and that's those bits done. Now at this point I could just do that wrapping black and make this a specific one, but that's not what I'm going for. You may have noticed the incoming problem though, that I'm going to run out of tray space. I only have 4 corners and I need 5. Nothing so. I'm not used to painting things this small. It's like, oh, don't fall over anything. It's like video game dagger, real world sword. Video game dagger, real world for sword. I mean, that's a one-handed dagger. So whenever I'm estimating, I'm just like, oh, how much is this going to? A lot. And it takes up nothing. Oh wow, I actually need 6 corners. Whoops. Guess it's my fault for not getting a hexagon box, isn't it? And of course I intend to do a second coat of silver because these are just undercoats that are just there to make it look the right colour in the end. The silver is the final colour of this blade, or the actual metal. And hopefully I'm going to avoid having to use the heat gun to encourage the drying this time. But yeah, I mean, me dragging it along the table is not going to do any good for the paint drying nicely and evenly. But as I said, if I was doing this properly, I would do 1 paint coat, then stop for about 4 or 5 hours. Then once I'm done with that, I'd have to come back, paint it again. Whereas when I'm streaming, I'm barely letting it dry before I come back. It's like, as long as it's okay for recoat, we're going. So just over the top. You can see how much how much the grip is shaking, and just how flexible this blade is. I mean, if this went to a convention, nobody would ever think it's a real one looking at it. Okay, like from a distance they might, but security would like touch it and just go, yeah, that's not real. On that, I have slight concerns with the way cosplay's going with okay, we're going to end up in trouble with these security events. Because it's like, when you go into foam, the lower densities of foam are basically like floor matting, and you can just, well, to be fair, I could slap someone with this sword and it's not even a bludgeoning thing. They would just be a slap. I mean, my hand would be more effective. But if you start going into the really high densities, well, at that point, once you're in really high density foam, it's not going to deform when it hits someone, and it's just like hitting them with a block of wood. And you're not allowed wooden swords. My main concern is, are the organisers going to ban foam because some idiot brings along a like CF200 sword and just hits someone with it? But well, hopefully the organisers will be good enough to know that like low density is fine, or we end up with the same rules as LARP, which you turn up and the security just asks you, okay, it's a foam sword, is it stab safe? Which, when you purchase like LARP swords, stuff like that, they have a rod down the centre to stiffen them, which is what the equivalent of what the cardboard in this is doing. And it's like a little fiberglass pole that goes down the centre. And I believe with it being stab safe, the fiberglass pole ends a sufficient distance down that if you did stab someone with it, the end just deforms and does no damage. But I have heard stories of people at LARP shows turning up and they're going like, oh yes, that's safe, and they stab themselves in the hand to prove the point. And then find out, no, it isn't. I've heard quite a few stories of that, and I'm just like, that's not a smart way to tell if it's safe to hit someone with. Also, you can see there, it's taking bits out where I'm resting it. So I'm going to have to go back over that side, do some corrections later. Hopefully the second coat will get most of this. And yeah, I'm going to have paint on my hand before the end of this. Don't worry about that. It ain't cosplay painting if you don't get some paint on you. Let's just come up here. See, I just thought of the other problem. Because this is such a small prop, like that is not going to be dry. Oops. Oh well. like the previous ones, I'm not going to be cleaning this up. But the white down there is not dry yet, so I believe I'm going to have to do some encouragement that I didn't want to do. Yeah, as you can see, it's got a little bit on there. So, if you're ever actually painting, do not do this. If you attempt to dry your glue, or sorry no, you attempt to dry your paint or a hot air gun, you wreck the project, have to start the whole thing over. It's an absolute travesty. Do not do it. But because I'm rushing, okay. So, this, my hot air gun has temperature settings, which I am taking full advantage of. So I have this set on minimum, so it's essentially a hairdryer at this point. I have in fact bubbled my paint and ruined it like this before, rushing something for a video. So this remains an awful idea. But also, this is a plastic table, so this is also a really bad idea because it'll melt the table too. But as I said, it's on low, and it's on the low setting with the lowest heat setting, so okay, it's not on the lowest heat setting anymore. That was freezing. That would have been being beaten by a hairdryer. Of course. So I will continue to say that is a bad idea and something you should never do. Especially if you want the project to come out looking good. Like, it's such a bad idea. But it's mostly dry now. And the blade's getting a second coat anyway, right at the end. I mean, looks okay. Right, so next up is the gold. This is barely anything, so a little smidge should be enough. I said a smidge, not a squirt. again, most of these colours just go on like a wash, so... And I know the traditional thought is gold is actually a really bright and vibrant colour, but actually it's quite dull. It's one of the more amusing things I saw watching Gold Rush for years. Whenever they show gold on screen, they have to massively increase the brightness of the stuff because it doesn't look like what people think. I've got to be careful while dipping in here so I don't accidentally contaminate it with the wrong colour. I mean, there's no big problem, Vix. This isn't like a really high quality one that I'm going to be showing off or something, but when practicing painting techniques, it is very important to do them properly. Hello. I'm fine. How are you doing? That's good. It's nice to hear people having a good time. I don't think I've ever done a good paint job on stream. Actually, yeah, when I do big stuff, like proper props, not like little ones like this, I do a real good job because I can. It's like, ooh, how much time do I have to, like, oh, it's about an hour between coats because that's how much material I've got to paint. Yeah, okay, I can do that. Now you've got to be careful while going through all of this because you know, you've got to avoid getting the material on the other things. I mean, I could mask it, but you definitely can't mask doing this. Just so much wet paint on me now. Again, it's part of the painting process. You are going to get covered. Just be careful while cleaning yourself off the ends. Get all of it. You don't want to go into work the next day like just covered in paint. Trust me, I've done it. It's like, what, didn't you clean? So, no, I washed for like 5 hours and there's just so much paint got on me. It's not my Marine who did that to me. Okay, so let's just do a second coat back here. Now again, this is going on real thin, so it's drying out pretty quick. Yep. Now I can't really change the direction on arm on it. I like the paintbrush. It's only 5mm thick. You try changing direction on that. Okay, and just a little bit around the back here. Oh, well, sorry, just a little bit left on the handle, on the grip. And a bit here, and flip over, get this bit, oops, it's a mess up on my part, oops. I mean, it's not bad, you know, apart from the blade. Oh, yeah, that blade's ridiculous. Can I actually open this? Yes, again. Look, I know it's really cheap, but paint costs money. Right, the last thing, unfortunately, I miscounted the amount of pots I'd need, and I need to go find another one. So very small amounts of another 2 colours to use. Now, so I usually keep a load of them like around the place for this purpose, but they were recently all pinched back by the person who actually owns them. It's not in there. fair, they were unimpressed, but I did point out that they left them with me and said use them for whatever you want, so I did. And that use was a mess. Come on, there is another big one around here, and I know it's here. It's the annoying thing, right? You know there is something, but... Put it back. Okay, no, it's not there. I mean, it would take much too long to go out and actually clean one of these things. I should have one. Okay, if I was me, where would I have put it? As you can see, very prepared for this. Like top level preparedness. No. Oh wow, that's still wet. I painted with that last year. That tub where I put some paint in it last year, still wet. I didn't figure that was going to happen. That's weird. Also, I know that paint's dry. It's already dried on this project today. Okay, apparently I was not prepared. Definitely not. I mean, you would have thought it had turned up by now, right? The question is, am I reckless enough to mix directly on the desk? The answer is no, I am not doing that. That's silly. How can I not have one? Like, I used to have like 50 of these and they're all gone now. Yeah, unfortunately, the other one I usually use currently has glue drying in it, which would completely mess up all the rest of the paint if I used it. Oof. Right, I can solve this. Okay, look, you're gonna nick your stuff back, I will come get it. Yoink. Right, there you go. Found something eventually. So now I need a small brush to go into this kind of section. And another small brush to go over the top. And those two will do. Let's mix up the colours. As you can see, this is a very mild colour. And it is very much just a wash, so if you attempted to paint directly on with this, it would be a disaster. think I would do the arrangement differently with the crosses as well when I do it again. You know, actually try to line them up properly. I mean, I understand that on this one it's not remotely important, it's just like a bit on the end for me to do. What I'm hoping is that I've given the blade enough time to have dried. Because I am very rapidly running out of surfaces to hold it with. Close enough. Yeah, whoops. That didn't need painting. Go in here, get all these little sections. I mean, you can see how bad this paint is. Thank you. You can see how thin and like ineffective this paint is, like when there's any black sections I missed. But by the feel of it, the blue is not as bad as the pink. And I don't need to go get an example. We're going to see in a bit just how weak the pink is as a colour. And just come up here, get there. Okay. No, this is just a sword that I'm making. There's no real name for it. It's just what I'm just... So no, in specific, it is literally my sword. I am making it for me. And it's basically entirely custom, because... Plus, I'm about to put neon pink on it. I don't think anyone's ever done that yet. Probably people have done this, but... Realistically, everything I make is for me, but this one is just experimenting with technique, so I neither care about accuracy or anything else. It's just a bit of fun, see how it comes out. As I said last time, it's already failed, so it's... I mean, I had one test, which was the blade isn't about the strength of spaghetti, and the blade's the strength of spaghetti, so... Just go along here, get that little bit. No, we don't need to swap it over yet. We just continue working our way down. To be fair, there are cultures in the world that consider pink to be for warriors, so it could be thematically appropriate in some settings. And to be fair, it's thematically appropriate here because I just wanted to do it. Surprisingly, I bought this pink years ago for my Space Marine, and it is an awful paint. I mean, I'm sure it has its function, and I'm probably not using it correctly, but for what I'm doing, no, bad. So we just keep working our way down. I think I might try to darken off this pink. Make it a bit more of that colour than, you know, this pink, because, I mean, this is ridiculously neon, but I want it a little darker. That's all. Okay, let's just flip it up. And just carry on going. I think I might just do a second coat of pink. I mean, the blue's gone on pretty well. I'm impressed. I was expecting, because it's the same brand and the same kind of thing, just to be like another really weak wash. But no, it's actually working quite effectively. Just come across there. Get that bit. I mean, oh, I'm definitely going to need more paint. They're fused. It's all. Hopefully, this is such a thin coat. It'll be dry by the time I get back to the start, and I can just do the second coat straight away. But yeah, the unevenness of these wrappings is bothering me. I would prefer if I had have done a better job, but I didn't. Oh well. Maybe next time. As I've said earlier, I'm going to be making the 3 sets of swords for this set. Then I'm going to use a different technique to make the next 3. That's much nicer. But yeah, I don't actually sell anything, so everything I make here is for me. Usually they just go to cons, but I think in total I've only ever made 2 props for other people. One of them is on the wall there. The person I gave it to made a better one years on and gave it back to me, just because it's just like, well, this is still a pretty awesome sword, so like, do you want it back? And I'm just like, I'll have to find somewhere to keep it, but yes. I mean, it's really old. Like, that's a really old design, and it weighs about 5 times as much as it should. And if it was one that I made now, it would literally weigh a fifth of what it does. But but also it's like problem 4 that I ever made. So it's nice to have some recognition for just remembering what you did in the past. I mean, neither of those look particularly even, but... Okay, so I think we're done with the pink now. So if we go back to the blue, go into here, just get those gaps. There's one bit I missed entirely. Just come here. Most of this second bit here is just doing the little bits that I missed, because, you know, mistakes happen. There's nothing wrong with them. And plus, they're all just learning experiences. Just chuck that back in and chuck that in there. Now, okay, yeah, next up is the next coat of silver, because I just remembered a thing I've got to do at the end of this that requires that silver to be done now. Well, done earlier, but I didn't do it, so... Now, of course, the solution to doing this is the way you're meant to do it. I'd say it's perfect for anyone who likes pink. Men are definitely allowed to like pink as well, you know. But yeah, if you want to do the painting properly, you do one side at a time, let it dry, flip it over onto the dry side, then it doesn't transfer and start rubbing off like this has been. But technique's technique. Now you see this time I'm painting at 90 degrees to the way I painted last time. And it's still going to leave brush strokes. The best way not to get brush strokes is to spray. Now where do I... thank you. Now of course you can see here all the scratches and stuff on it. That's down to the fact that it's been scraping with the sable. You lot, all off the sword. I'm trying to move it as little as possible because when I move it, it damages it. Is that dry? It's dry enough. I was not expecting to get through all of this silver like this, but it's no problem. I was hoping for a very small amount to do the final mix with, that's all. Again, this gets difficult towards the end, but I don't need to hold that end anymore. Nope. So like with every project that you make, you can always see all the problems, and I can definitely see the problems with this sword, but it doesn't matter that much. So we can chuck that in there now, and we've used up the last of that silver. So now we need that to dry. Where can I touch it? Nowhere. Because we need to get to this bit. Now where is my tiny little one? You're a tiny little brush. Okay, and that is enough black paint to turn this whole sword black. Yes, let's make this in my style. So okay, may need a little tiny bit more than that. I don't, yeah, you definitely can't see that, but there is a tiny little cat on there now. Wow, it is all wet. Flip it, damn you. Yeah, as you can see, it's all getting rubbed off with its moving, so I'm probably going to have to go over it again at some point. Wow, and I thought my one on the other side was cursed. Yep, my one on the other side's cursed. This one is worse. And of course, Wow, I messed that up. And debate can go forever if that's a mouth, a banana, or the moon. Consider the sun's on the other side. We know it's the moon, but... So I have a bad feeling I'm about to have to dry it again. Well, I nearly forgot to do the black in here. I've got a little bit of pink on the blade. I'm okay with that. There's one cursed picture of a cat. I have done so, there's so much evil in that picture. Okay, so let's get this going. Again, for anyone joining late, this hot air gun is on minimum setting and has minimum heat. But this is still a bad idea to do, and you shouldn't do it. But unless you literally want a paint drying stream, this is how it's going to be. Okay. It's amazing how bad of an idea this is, but Keep working along. It'll go eventually. Do not touch the black. If I touch that, it's over. That brush has to be chucked. Anything touched afterwards does too. You know, maybe like my black paint's just the highest quality paints that I have. So just redress the little bits that have come up. Surprisingly, I just realised I'm not actually done with black paint yet. That's sort of another bit I've got to do with it at the end. Because, well, you've seen how this thing's made. It has no edge to it at all. It's just completely flat. But I do have to make it look like it has one in the end. So I think what I'm going to do is a very thin black line just above the, well, just above the bits, or the bits that's made by the hardening that I cannot remember the name of. Also, give you a fair impression of just how cold it is, the fact that I have my hands in front of the hot air gun. If you did that with it on normal temperatures you expect these things to be at, I would have just had severe burns. Okay. Right, so next up, let's move all of this stuff out the way. And I'm going to have to mix a bit of white in with the silver just to lighten it up a tiny bit. Probably too much, but in fact that might actually work. So basically on a proper samurai sword you have the, I honestly need to go look this up because but basically there's the effect of the hardening where you end up with a lighter colour on the edge and you end up with a wave going through it because of the way it's made. I mean, this is not going to be showing up on camera. I can barely see it. Making this go much too wide at this point, so run this along the bottom. Don't add too much, it's just to make sure that it's a matching colour with the bit I've just added on. Okay, now, also, my cursed cat. The more cursed cat. And the moon. And sun. And of course, you can barely see it, but along the bottom, or along the top there, you can see it's a slightly different colour. It's not supposed to be a hugely different colour for it, it's just supposed to be like a semitone, which it is. Now of course I've put this on much too thick. Like, the actual size of this thing on the blade is supposed to be tiny. It's just a little bit of hardness on the end that allows you to, you know, keep a cutting edge while your blade doesn't just shatter. And we're almost there. Okay, and that's that bit. Now I've just got one more little line to do. So if I get one of these that's flat, and now I have to be brave. This is the bit where if I mess it up, it's all gone. Too big. Okay, let's give this another shot. I'm surprised just how little of this is actually showing up. It's probably because I'm painting on such a reflective surface. Tell you what, would this make much difference? Okay, you may be able to see the detail a little bit better there. As you can see, little bit of a blade and some detailing on there. Let's let that dry for a minute. Because if I don't let this dry, it'll just go over everywhere. Now, of course, on the real swords, all the details I'm doing here are far more beautiful. That should be enough in theory. So now we just flip it over. I did not wreck it. It's a good start. Not much left, but yeah, this black line really takes a lot of work. Whoops. A little bit of it came off thicker than it should have. My bad. That's not me, anyone else's, is it? Okay, and just a little bit of tidying. Right, and with that, I'm officially done. You safe to pick up there? So apart from like the sword being all the blade being all flexible, that's pretty good. So, as I've said before, the plan here is to do another 3 of these, or the rest of the set 3 of these with this design, because at a 60cm blade, this technique failed miserably. But there are 2 other sizes that Samurai carried, and I'm going to make all 3, and that way I can see what size this technique works down to, if it works any length. And I've got another idea to do it a different way, which should be much stronger, which I've got to make another set of 3 of these. So yeah, we've got swords for a while. So, thanks for coming, I guess. Hopefully you've enjoyed me making another sword. And, well, see you next time, I believe. Let's get the brightness back where it's meant to be. Okay. So, thank you and bye.